Hare Krishna, liebe Gäste, liebe Leute, also vielen Dank für die Kirtanis, das war sehr schön Kirtans und vielen Dank, dass ihr so schön mitgemacht hättet. Ja, erstmal, wir gehen jetzt zum anderen Teil für unser Programm, das ist philosophischen Vortrag, das wird heute vom Sacinandana Prabhu gehalten. Haribo! Sacinandana Prabhu ist schon seit über 30 Jahren schon in unserer Bewegung, also manche wurden noch nie geboren, also vor 30 Jahren glaube ich. Und Jai hat sogar schon, also in der ganzen Welt schon gepredigt, in Indien, in Südamerika, in Nordamerika, war überall und seit vielen Jahren ist schon in Deutschland. Also herzlich willkommen, Jai Prabhu. Haribo!
Geht's nicht, oder? Hare Krishna. Das letzte Mal, ich habe auf Deutsch gesprochen am Freitag und dieses Mal einige Devotees möchten, dass ich auf Englisch reden. So dieses Mal, ich spreche auf Englisch. Wer versteht kein Englisch, gibt es Übersetzung. Übersetzt jemand auf Russisch und auf Deutsch. Ich kann nicht Russisch. Hier, Lied Giridhari Prabhu, hat. So I will speak in English for the pleasure of several devotees, particularly Rishabh Prabhu, my dear friend, who requested me this time. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So we will read a verse. First, I will read the verse from the Bhagavad Gita. This is the verse of the second chapter of it is the 11th verse. This is the situation in the Bhagavad Gita where Krishna spoke to Arjuna, because Arjuna was in a very precarious situation. There was this battlefield about to start, and this is, as we know, this is always a terrible event, the fighting. And Arjuna finally realized, oh, everybody on the opposite side from me are my relatives, you know. Imagine you have to fight your relatives, your brother, your uncles, and you think like, why would I do this? I don't want to do this. I mean, this is a normal human reaction. Why would I do this? And then Krishna said, and then not just that, Arjuna also gave some scriptural references that one should not do this. He gave several scriptural references to Krishna. So he had a very, very good argument, you could say. And yeah, the translation comes. And then Krishna said, yeah, this is very nice, these arguments are very nice, but ashochan anashocharstvam pragyavadaschabhasashe gatasun agatasum cha nanu shochati panditaha. This is a very famous, you can say, verse. It says, the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna said, while speaking learned words, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief, meaning you are lamenting, but this is not really worth lamentation. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. This is some kind of, when you read this, you think, wow, this is actually pretty... Русский перевод. Русский перевод behind. This is the glories of the Kali Yuga, the machine. So, to come back again, Krishna said to Arjuna, you are mourning, meaning you are lamenting this for death which is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor for the dead. And then he speaks in the next two verses, 2:12 and 2:13, never was time when I nor you did not exist, nor all these kings, all these people also, they existed in the past, nor in the future should any of us cease to be, meaning we will exist even in the future. So meaning that Krishna didn't just say, this is wrong and that's it. You know, he actually gave explanation, and the whole Bhagavad Gita is the explanation to Arjuna. And the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said to Arjuna, and now I explained all this to you. Have you understood it? If you did not understand, I will explain it to you again. So this is the proper relationship between the guru and the disciple. Guru, actually a spiritual master, explains to the disciple. So in the spiritual life, we need spiritual master to explain things to us. You know, and Srila Prabhupada explained. And if something is unclear, we ask a question. This is unclear to me. Can you please explain this to me? And the guru said yes. And then after explanation, have you understood it? When not, I'm ready to explain again. So this is to come back to the story. And then Krishna told Arjuna in the next verse, as the embodied soul means the soul is actually the real thing, the real life, the real me. Embodied means embodied. There's a soul and there's a body suddenly around it. And then we are walking around with two, feet. Imagine, I was just thinking some time ago, feet. Does anybody think about the feet? We are walking on the feet. If we don't have feet, how would we walk? So Krishna arranged all these amazing things, feet, that we can walk. Or you can see these swans in the lake. There's a lake nearby. And they have feet, but they have this little connected skin. So when they want water, they do like this, So Krishna arranged everybody has a certain kind of body, embodied. But the real thing inside of the body is the soul. This is Bhagavad Gita, very, very beginning, second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. This is explained, like immediately. So we have this amazing knowledge. You can read all kinds of philosophical treatises and explaining what is, as I said last time on Friday, Martin Heidegger, Dasein, what is Dasein, and then explains how the self and this and that. But in reality, Bhagavad Gita explains immediately, there's the soul, and the soul is embodied. And they said, and this soul is embodied from youthhood from boyhood to youthhood to old age. So we know, those who are a little older, that our body was quite different 20, 30 years ago, 50 years ago. Body was very different. Yeah, Rishabh said he was 2 years old when I joined the Hare Krishna movement. So his body was very different then. So, but the soul from this little body of 2 years old grew into this body now, 32 years old, or whatever. So, and the same way, our body, when we die, our body will just go, according to the Bhagavad Gita, will go to another, soul will go to another body, if we are, of course, not liberated from material world. And this, which body we will achieve, we'll talk a little bit today. So, I was thinking today how do I title this lecture, and I was thinking, I found this, of course, in philosophy. It's always everything is so complicated in the Western philosophy. So the question is, what is the meaning of life? You know, the meaning of life. Because we talk about meaning of life. What is the meaning of life? If you have watched this film called Monty Python, Meaning of Life, at the end he said, yeah, meaning of life, don't eat too much fat and don't stress yourself too much. And that's it. That's the meaning of life. Don't eat too much fat. But actually the meaning, what is the meaning of this word, meaning of life? This is a very interesting question for us. First of all, there's a meaning in life and meaning of life. So we sometimes, or most of the times, we mix these two. Meaning in life means I need to be healthy, I need to have a nice car, I need to have whatever, life, meaning in life, in my life, what I need for my life. But this is not meaning of life. So these two are very different things. It's like explaining what is good for health. What is good, what is health? So we said, yeah, but I like to eat whatever, gulab jamuns. I like to eat 7 gulab jamuns every day. Or 12 gulab jamuns every day. So this is very good for you. It's a meaning to you. But for your health, this is completely nothing to do with your health. So the meaning of life and meaning of life there's two different things. So and usually when there's a poll, or they ask so many different people when they explain, mostly they're interested in meaning in life, not the meaning of life. Because the people don't think what is the meaning of life. I remember once I was very young, maybe 7 or 8 years old, and then we went to a family house, and somebody in the family has died. So everybody was somber, there was the candles there, and we were sitting, everybody was serious. And then they start talking about the afterlife. What do you think? Where did he go? Whatever, the uncle or whatever who died. And then we're talking, he went there, or they talked about afterlife, how they remember. Sometimes happened that somebody spoke, dead person spoke. And there was one lady, she narrated the story how her husband was a Köln waiter in the restaurant. And he was apparently, not the most honest person. That time, there was no computerized, receipt. The Kellner, the waiter, was writing with a hand. 35, 5 times, and people little drinking, and then he said 37, it's actually 39, scratching here and there. So he was taking some money here and there, or you can say cheating people, stealing people. And then this woman was dreaming that he came after he died, 7 days or something after he died. He appeared to her in a dream, and he said, they're beating me a lot because I was cheating when I was a waiter. Because she asked him, how are you? And he said, they're beating me. And that, we were talking, of course, the elders. I was just sitting, young child, listening to all these amazing stories. And that was it, maybe 2 hours. Everybody talked about the serious topics, what happened when a person dies, and she has heard that, and he has heard that. And after 2 hours, the food came in, and said, okay, and then we'll be drinking, and this and that. Then I started, like, somebody said a joke or two, and that was it. That was, these 2 hours or 1.5 hours was the time when somebody contemplated something about the meaning of life. And after this, we went back to the meaning in life. What do I need? I need a house, first I need to graduate, to get a degree. This is very meaningful to me, meaning in life. And then once I get a degree, then I have to get a good job. Then I get a good job. It's very meaningful to me. And then I need to have this wonderful car. It's meaningful. And a beautiful wife, beautiful man. Whatever, we have different meanings that we need to fulfill. But the point here, the purpose of life, the meaning of life is more important than the meaning in life. And for this, I will narrate a story to you. So, there was one king. The story comes from the book called Srimad Bhagavatam. There was a king called Bharat Maharaj. Those from India, they know that India was actually known as Bharat before, not India as it now we know. Bharat, the great Bharat. And then we have a book called Mahabharat. So the Bharat, the name of the country is given by this great king Bharat. He ruled the country very well, and he was a very famous king. So he was basically the king of the world. So as a king of the world, imagine what kind of life amenities you can have. Basically, you can have everything. There's nothing that you cannot have as a king. So I want this, or I want that. You can have everything, anything you want. So he had everything. And he did many pious activities, like various yagyas, various sacrifices. And then when his end of his life, he reigned really well. He had his sons and daughters and beautiful wife. And so he had a very nice life, you can say. And once his life was nearing towards the old age, he thought, okay, now according to Shastra, according to the scriptures, I should release everything. Because how much, there's this one German song from the 1950s, said, Das letzte Tasche hat leider keine, no, the letzte Hemd hat leider keine Tasche. The last shirt has no pockets. The last shirt we'll wear before we die, there are no pockets, meaning we cannot take anything with us. All these possessions, we cannot, I want to take 10 kilos of gold when I die. You cannot take it. In some religious traditions, like for example in south of North America, in area New Orleans, they have these graves, this like a big house. And inside of the grave, people bring all the riches, all the things, they bring the TV, whatever they bring, so the person can watch or enjoy, bring the money, so they can enjoy while they are dead, in the next life. But we cannot take it. It stays in this funeral. What was that? Friedhof. Was that Friedhof?
Burial.
Yeah, burial ground. Burial ground. It stays there. It cannot go. So Bharat Maharaj, he knew this because in the Shastra it is said that when one is the age of, after 50, advanced age, they should leave everything behind and go to the forest and pursue a spiritual life. One should not forever try to enjoy the last moments. Your teeth are falling out, as it described in Srimad Bhagavatam, and then you think, this life is very, very good. It's over. It's over. Now is the time to practice spiritual life. So Bharat Maharaj said, okay, he was a proper, you can say, person. He did everything properly. And then he went to the forest in the ashram of Pulastya Muni. And they said this ashram was situated on the river Gandaki. Gandaki is now a river currently in Nepal. And this is the river where many Shalagram Shilas, live, or they are placed in this river. Shalagram Shila is actually a form of Vishnu, which is in the form of a stone. So devotees worship. This is other story, but this is the place where Bharat Maharaj was staying. And he said he lived alone, and he lived alone in the, he created his own little place, and he lived alone and he practiced intensely spiritual life. And so much so that he had a darshan of Krishna. He actually saw Krishna. Imagine, this is a very advanced person. And then one day he was meditating on the bank of the river. And what happened? He could not help it, but he saw a beautiful deer on the bank of the river. And then this deer was pregnant, was drinking water. And then the lion came. And lion was somehow, roared, wow, And the deer saw lion and didn't know what to do and somehow jumped into the water out of fear. And this was a big river, powerful river. And while jumping into the water, the deer gave birth to a small deer. And somehow or other, this deer died. So there was a little baby deer floating in the water. Everybody knows the deer is very cute. We see so many animals when they're very young, they're very, very cute. A small little deer, helpless. And Bharat Maharaj was a kshatriya by nature, means kshatriya is the one who gives protection to the people. So he saw deer and he said, I will give a protection. So he took this little deer, and deer without mother, so he felt like so compassionate. And he said, oh, this deer has taken shelter of me. I will take care of him very nicely. So the animals, they don't know who you are, that you are a spiritually advanced person. They're pushing their little snout and they're cuddling, and he was also cuddling with the deer and giving him to eat. And slowly, day by day, Bharat Maharaj became very attached to deer. It becomes like his own son or daughter. It's my own, under your protection. So he was also not just that, but then once somebody's under your protection, you fear for this person. The mothers, when the child goes out, they always think like, where did he go? Is he going out there? In the Krishna book, Mother Yashoda is always wondering, what is Krishna doing? Did he eat dirt? The Krishna ate the dirt, and everybody said, Balaram came and said, Krishna ate the dirt. And everybody's like, Krishna ate dirt, So Mother Yashoda says, oh, why are you eating dirt? So she comes and, why are you eating dirt? And so on, all kinds of worries the mother said. So Bharat Maharaj had worry about this little baby deer. And then what happened, because he started worrying so much about the deer and he was very attached, sometimes he would neglect his spiritual practice. He would say, it's okay, I have to see where the deer is. You practice a little bit and then he chanted some mantras and he said, okay, let me see where the deer is, I can chant later. Which is very interesting. Sometimes devotees, we also chant our rounds, Hare Krishna, and then somehow we hear ping, ping, message has arrived in our handy. And we said, I have to stop chanting. This is very important. Must be very important. And then we take our handy and we read the message. The message is completely useless. But it's, I should answer it now. It must be answered right now. Cannot wait. There are people who are a little older, like myself, and we remember there was no handies and there was no computers. And somehow or other we communicated, believe it or not. We actually did communicate with people. We met with people without, putting on Google Maps, without calling, sending message. We are arriving in 3 minutes. We are arriving in 1 minute. We are arriving in 30 seconds. And then you send a map with the location where you are right now, at the corner, and then with arrow. And then people say, wow, they're arriving in 2 minutes. We arrived also without this. We spoke to people. We met, believe it or not, we went out and we met with friends without messages, We just somehow met, And we knew who are our friends without messaging. Somehow we go out and we meet somebody. If not, then we go to their house and say, how are you doing? That was very easy. I'm just telling you this, that Bharat Maharaj was disturbed by this deer, same way we are disturbed nowadays with so many things, important things. Particularly our phone is such a invaluable possession, phone. Without phone, how can you live? If you lose phone for 3 days, it's like a disaster. I didn't have a phone when I was in India, someone broke down. 2 weeks, no phone, and I was like, I didn't know how can somebody live without phone. And you cannot access any of your important information. And you don't get any WhatsApp messages for 3 days, for 7 days. How can you live? You think nobody likes me? Nobody likes me. I didn't get message for 7 days. That's it. It's the end of the world. It's ridiculous. But this is who we are at this moment. So Bharat Maharaj, he had also disturbance. It's much nicer disturbance than Hindi. But still, it was a disturbance to the spiritual life. Little beautiful deer. He was there. And then one day what happened? The deer disappeared. And Bharat Maharaj was devastated. He could not, again, we lose our Hindi and we think that's it. How can I chant my rounds? Because who knows, when somebody can message me and I don't know what to do. So he was very disturbed. And he was looking everywhere where the deer is, and he was thinking about the deer, and he was completely thinking. And then he even, which is very, very funny, he saw the moon. And on the moon, there was a little shadow on the moon. There's this song, Shadows on the Moon. But and then the shadow looked like a little baby deer in his mind. And he thought, oh moon, you must know where my deer is. And he was praying to the moon and completely bewildered. So sometimes in the material world, we also like this bewildered. We think, and then we start talking total nonsense due to our material attachments. So Maharaj was looking for deer everywhere. While looking for deer, somehow it is said that the time to die has come. Which is a very important point. The time for us to die may come any moment. We do not know this. We think, okay, I'll live another, 50 years, it's all right. Later on I don't care what happened. But we don't know. Maybe it's 50, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 5, maybe it's 10 minutes. So therefore, it is advisable by all the scriptures of, Vedic scriptures, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and there's a verse in Vedanta Sutra, first verse, it says, Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Now is the time to inquire about the absolute truth. Now. It's now, right now. Not tomorrow, not when this is when I'm a little older. Let me get my degree and establish myself, get married, have a couple of kids. Then when I become grandfather, grandmother, in a rocking chair, I can read Bhagavad Gita, Which is very nice, of course. Bhagavad Gita should be read at any time by anybody. But the point is that if you know now, we can use this time to actually be ready when we come to the stage of Bharat Maharaj, meaning that our last breath is there, we're laying there, and we think, oh, my cat. Then we die thinking about our cat. Because so many people have animals nowadays, and many people are very lonely and single, and they're sitting in a house. We saw this when we were in Berlin, one quarter of mostly older people. Everybody has a little, you don't know exactly is it the dog or a cat, very small animal. Very small, this little, it's not little things, and you don't know, cat, dog, but they're telling, don't go left, there, left, go straight, They speak to this animal, poor animal, after all. The animals are meant to run in the wild, not to sit in an apartment. But anyways, this is a different story. So, and then when these people die, then they're alone, who would be next to you when you die? Who would lick your face if you fall on the ground? You have a heart attack and you're dying, and then who is? Fifi. Fifi will come next to you and lick you. And you said, oh, my master is dying. And you said, oh, Fifi, oh, Fifi. And your last words will be, Fifi. And it is said, in the Bhagavad Gita, yam yam vapi smaram bhavam tejanti ante kalevaram. That whatever your thoughts at the time of your body leaving, when you're dying, this stage or this body you will achieve the next. So if you are looking at our dear Fifi, then we may become Fifi ourselves in our next life. And then, then we sit and and then Fifi, we are walking and we are barking and the owner said, wow, Fifi is so intelligent. It's like a human. I was visiting a relative of mine, and she had a dog, and the dog's eyes were like human eyes. I never seen this. Very smart. And she said to the dog, just look at the dog, and said, go to the balcony and stay there. And he just goes to the balcony and stays there. Like understands the language. This is amazing. And she said, he's very smart. And I was thinking, yeah, because he was probably human in his past life. And somehow or other, he had a dog or she had a dog and meditated and become that very Fifi. So the point is that Bharat Maharaj was thinking about this little deer, and he, amazingly enough, although he was very, very spiritually advanced, believe it or not, he became a deer. And he said while he was leaving his body, he saw himself laying, this is described that, this near-death experience that you float over your body. And he saw a little deer next to him laying and lamenting, oh, my master is dead. So he was even doubly meditating on this deer, and he would think, oh dear. And he became deer himself, although very, very spiritually advanced. And what is wrong to be a deer? Somebody will say, why are you discriminating? Deer is also, living entity. Yes, it is true. The deer is also all right. So this deer, unfortunately, or fortunately, this deer, Bharat Maharaj remembered his past life because he was spiritually advanced. So he realized when he was born, he just understood, man, I made a mess. I made a mistake. What have I done? Aho, aho. It's in Sanskrit usually written. What have I done? I have become a deer by my own foolishness, my own attachment. So therefore, this body as a deer, I will not mess up. So he decided to leave the association of non-devotee deer. So he said, thank you, Hare Krishna. So he left this deer, other deer were like, karmi deer. Deer engaged in karma, in vikarma, sense gratification. So he left them and he went back to the ashram of Pulastya. And he was hanging around this ashram. And sometimes you see this, particularly in India, that animals are actually coming. I saw this was a famous viral when a devotee was reading in Chitrakoot, he was reading Ramayana. You ever seen this video? And the monkey came, and he would sit next to the speaker, the table. He would put the hand on the speaker, and he would listen to Ramayana. He would sit for a long time. This monkey was sitting and listening to Ramayana. Next to the speaker, and everybody was like, wow, Hanuman, ki jai. So we do not know who that person was in the past life. Or maybe this was some spiritually advanced person, but monkey was listening to Ramayana for some time. Or the cow, many times. For example, there's this one temple, Radha Vallabh in Vrindavan. Somehow, the entrance is somehow accessible by the cows. So the cow, many times, comes inside the temple and stand there and have a darshan of the deity. Standing there, listening lecture. There's also this picture, one devotee is giving lecture and cow is laying next to him, listening lecture also. Very relaxed, listening pravachan, Bhagavatam, reading Bhagavatam, and then cow goes away. Everything is good. They get a little food, Mahaprasad. And so this is what Bharat Maharaj became. He was leaving the association of non-devotees, and he was associating with devotees. And then Bharat Maharaj taught as deer, I will this time do some austerities. So he decided not to eat green grass. Green grass is Maya.
Question.
Just later, after we finish. And after this, he said, I will not eat green grass. I will eat only dry leaves. So he would eat only, no sense gratification. Meaning, he understood tongue is very vacha vegam, manasa krodha vegam, jiva vegam, udarapasta vegam. This is describing the Upadeshamrita. That this is how you actually uncontrolled senses begin from the tongue. You speak nonsense and we eat something which is not desirable. So he wanted to eat only dry grass, dry leaves. So so what happened to this is that after this, the deer's body was over. Bharat Maharaj attained another human body, and from there he was a pure devotee, and after this he went back to God. But the point there was that we should understand that there's a laws of nature in this world. Bhagavad Gita also describes, and Prabhupada translates as stringent laws. Stringent means unchangeable laws of the material nature. That we cannot change this by our own. We can think, for example, Prabhupada said, if a child goes to the fire and put a hand, the fire will burn the child, although child was innocent. What is the wrong of a child? But you say, no, don't go there, it will burn you. So child put the hand, it will burn. So meaning the laws of nature are such that that this is how it is. That we have to understand. For example, particularly with this, if you don't practice spiritual life in this body, and if you think about something, which is undesirable, you will next life, you will achieve this body. This is the simple law of nature, that's it. And then we will think like, why have I done it? Like many times, you can see or read the people who are in jail, they did something bad. They stole something or they killed somebody. And then the whole life they think, why have I done it? They have 30 years or 40 years in jail to sit in small confinement and think, why have I done it? So instead of experiencing on our own body, we can actually experience through the eyes of the Shastra Chakshu, and think, why would I do this to myself? In the next body, I don't know what is my next destination. I don't know. Maybe deer, now you get shot by the hunters here in Germany. Or maybe I'll become a dog, or maybe I'll become a cat, or maybe I'll become a snake. Everybody hates me. Or maybe I'll become a tree. It is described as the trees. They can sit for hundreds of years in snow and rain, and trees just standing there. Because trees also embodied living entity. There's a soul which is actually traveling, but by the previous karma, this soul has acquired the body of a tree. This tree is sitting there for hundreds of years. Imagine. I mean, at least produces some oxygen, some nice things, but still. And then the tree dies, and then from the next body maybe achieve the higher body, to become a wolf, or whatever. So the point is that there's so many species of life, and this human form of life, human body, is very, very valuable, and the time is running very, very swiftly. Suddenly we look ourselves and oops, I'm a senior citizen. I'm a senior citizen, and I wasn't only a few years ago. So, and then we would think, what am I doing? What is the meaning, not in life, but what is the meaning of life? And Bhagavad Gita explains clearly what is the meaning of life. The meaning of life is that there's no meaning to life. This is all temporary. Temporary. The real life is actually life of the soul. And Bhagavad Gita describes this. When the soul is engaged in serving the Supreme Soul, Krishna, then the real life begins. And this life is Sat, Chit and Ananda, is eternal, full of bliss and full of knowledge. So this is the best life. So therefore, we are practicing this Hare Krishna process. You know, some more successful, some less successful, but the point is that we all try to actually achieve something which is very, you know, our normal, original position of the soul. This is what we are trying to do. Where there is no birth, there's no old age, there's no disease, there's no death. Just imagine, no disease, no tsanats, no dentist. Just a dentist is so much pain, you know. Dentist is, they can offer the most unbearable kind of pain you can have, you know. So just one thing, you know, and what to speak of other things. You know. So this is all unnatural positions, unnatural situations. So therefore we don't need to do this. By hearing properly, we can avoid this to experience. So therefore we practice spiritual life, beginning with chanting Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it is said that whoever chants Hare Krishna once, this is considered to be a Vaishnava, a devotee. So, congratulations to all of you. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is said. So, this is the beginning of the spiritual life. Chanting Hare Krishna, practicing, and then trying to avoid attachments. Of course, doesn't mean that we become a cruel person. You know, we don't care, you know, what is this cat? No, we respect every living entity, we like every living entity, but we understand, we have a background, as we call it, philosophical background. That this person, this cat is also a soul, entrapped in this body. Yesterday we had a program in one city nearby, and there was a lady, she had how many parrots? Five different parrots. Huh? Okay, but parrots. And then I was thinking, you know, there are 5 more people in the room. You know, it's we see a bird, but actually there's actually a soul inside of this parrot. They also heard the mantra. They also smell the prasadam, whatever. And they were chanting. They listened to the lecture. You know. So these souls also got benefit. So when we chant Hare Krishna and we perform devotional service, everybody gets benefited. Even the animals, even the bacteria. There's so many bacteria in this. I'm sure if you would just have somehow microscope, we will see all kinds of strange animals floating around, very small. They also benefited by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing Bhagavad Gita, by chanting Hare Krishna mantra. So this is the advice, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now is the time to inquire about the absolute truth, and also now is the time to start to do something about this absolute truth, meaning to practice our spiritual life, to chant Hare Krishna, and the rest of the process which is described in the books of Goswamis, like Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instructions, and so on and so forth. So thank you very much for your attention. Hare Krishna. If you would like to ask anything, Maharaj, would you like to add anything?
You told that King Bharata, as a deer, he was conscious of his previous life.
Yes.
But is it true for everyone that they know what happened? Like usually people don't remember their past life.
Yes. No, you don't. It is described that Bharat Maharaj was a special case because he was very advanced in his previous life. So therefore, because of that, he remembered his past life. Otherwise, mostly people don't remember. But sometimes, it's also, you know, you have these books, for example, cases of how kids remember their past lives. But this is only when they're very young kids, 3, 4, 5. After 5, they forget already. Because imagine if you remember every life you had before, with all these mixed emotions and this, and you have a little difficult to live. You know? So there are 2 Shaktis of material energy. One is called Avaranatmika and another one is called Prakshipatmika. One is Prakshipatmika is the throwing. The material energy throws you into the material world without really, you know, in our will. And the other one is covering. So this is the covering energy. and we just don't remember. But we just recently saw this. I saw this girl, and she just remember how she died. And she was like 3 years old, and she remembered her name. My name was such, and she said, I died in fire. And the mother was shocked, this 3 years old girl. And she went to research, and she found out that this was a fire in this town, and this girl by the name so-and-so was actually she died in fire, and she was shocked. And she said, how did you look? Mother asked, how did you look before you died? And she said, I had black skin, and I had a black hair. And this girl was actually black girl with the black hair. And this was a completely blonde family. And she's 3 years old. Anyway, so some do remember, but this is rare. Mostly no. But Bharat was advanced. Even as a deer, what do you speak of deer? How can deer remember their past life? But we don't know in Vrindavan who remembers what, In Vrindavan it is said that devotees who are not, you can say strict, Prabhupada says those who are performing sinful activities in the holy dham in Vrindavan, they become monkeys and pigs. So we don't know who are these, maybe they were great sages or something who did something really bad. So they became monkeys in Vrindavan, or pigs. Yeah, Rishabh, pardon.
One connecting to this point that you made, that reincarnations can happen and does happen, but some people remember it. So in this case, this girl, from the story we get that it's because of good sukriti, or they have done really good sadhana and they are highly advanced. So he was able to remember. But what about normal people who somehow get to remember? Did they also do some bhakti, or how they got the chance?
We don't. Maybe we don't know, but maybe the reason is that we hear about it and then we can preach about reincarnation. We don't know. Maybe Krishna arranges like this. Like for example, they found figure of Nrsimhadev near Passau in Germany. They found a Löwen god, the lion god. So this is Nrsimhadev. We have a Nrsimhadev nearby there. So the scientists, the anthropologists, they think like, what is this now, So Krishna probably reveals, okay. And who knows what will in the future it will be revealed. This city or maybe that city forgotten, and then we'll find out that traces of Mahabharata, whatever, who knows what can we find. Maybe we find Radha Krishna deities in, Düsseldorf, I don't know. just saying. Somebody's want to build a hotel, and they open it, there was a Radha Krishna, 50,000 years old or something. We don't know. Krishna has amazing ways. So maybe this is the reason, maybe not, but I'm saying something like this.
Okay. Actually, my question was something else. Bharat Maharaj, you mentioned somewhere that he saw Krishna.
Yes, this is described in the Bhagavatam.
Yes. So if someone see Krishna, he ideally should automatically lose the taste completely of the materialistic world. Right? So how after seeing Krishna, he still got attached?
Srila Prabhupada explains he was on the level of Bhava Bhakti. Bhava Bhakti is very high. But still, this is the point. The point of this whole pastimes of Bharat Maharaj is, in material world is padam yadvi padam natesham. There is always danger in this material world. Even on such high level, it is possible to actually fall down. Even on such a high exalted level. So we should be very careful. This is the point of this lila. Maybe this is just a lila, I don't know. But the point is that we, as devotees, should understand. Not that now I'm advanced, nothing will happen to me. No, it's danger. It's material world. We don't know. We walk and how many times, I heard this story from the 60s. Devotees went on Harinam. They were singing Hare Krishna, and suddenly somebody, very envious person from the top of a building, threw a brick and fell like 2 centimeters from the devotee's head. You don't know. I was recently, anyways. The point is that it's a danger. Material world is always dangerous. So therefore we should be very careful. Our attachment, we should not think like, now I'm liberated, I can just, let's make a huge plate and have a good time, watch some TV, it's wonderful. We should think, it's a danger, material world, and I should try to be, not like I should be, but live normally, but always understand, spiritual life is most important in my life. And other things I should take care of, not just I should become careless about my family, about my possessions. No, we care for everything, but we should understand, this is ultimately, I'm a devotee of Krishna, and this is my priority. Nitya, what do you like to say?
I was just wondering, because you spoke about that we are distracted, that we can get attached, and even on the highest platform, Bhava, we can actually reach, we can follow. So what's actually the hope we live in the world of distractions, of we are surrounded by people who are not living spiritual life, they may be even laughing about us, that we want to live spiritual life or whatever. What's our hope? Is it possible?
The hope is described by Srila Rupa Goswami in one verse, and he says, this, I have no hope to achieve Krishna, but I'm hoping against the hope. So this is our hope. That we are hoping against the hope. Meaning, one hope is that we are for sure, 100% sure, is the promise of Srila Prabhupada. Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, Konteya pratijanihi name bhakta pranashati. Let it be known that the word of my pure devotee never goes in vain. So this is the very important thing. And Srila Prabhupada says in many instances, chant 16 rounds, follow the 4 Agni principles, become dedicated devotee, and in this life you will go back to God. Prabhupada said, he said it must be true. We should have faith that what Prabhupada said, it must be true. This is one hope for us. So we should have this faith. And second one, we should have a faith in the mercy, hope in the mercy of Krishna. The Bhagavad Gita said, Yetamam prapadyante tam stataya bhajamyaham. The Krishna gives those who surrender to me, I reward them accordingly. And yoga kshema vahamyaham. Those who come towards me, I come, as is explained, 10 steps. We make 1 step towards Krishna, Krishna makes 10 steps towards us. So we should have also this hope that Krishna will be merciful. Although I don't really deserve it, but I think Krishna is merciful. This is the second hope. And third hope is that this process is a very powerful process. Although it seems like some Hare Krishna mantra, we are chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. In the morning we chant around Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, and some devotees are a little bit sleeping, a little bit, once, anyways, devotees sometimes even walking and falling asleep while walking. But all this endeavor, the Hare Krishna mantra is very powerful, very, very powerful. Hare Krishna mantra is no different from Krishna. It is described in the scriptures. Prasadam, what we will very soon experience, is no different from Krishna. It's actually no different from Krishna. When we eat Krishna Prasadam, it's like associating with Krishna. Because it's offered, tasted by Krishna's lips. He ate his Prasadam. So you think like, wow. And so on and so forth. The process of Krishna consciousness in general is so powerful, so pure, that even I can be purified. This is our hope. So we have a quite good reasons to hope. Pure devotee's word, the mercy of Krishna, and the process itself, the power of the process. Anything else? Noch was? Algo más? What other language you can say? In Russian, how do you say it in Russian? What, anything else? Huh? Algo más is in Spanish. When not, then thank you very much for your attention. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai Sachi Prabhu ki jai.